Ladies and gentlemen, meet the Tiny Tyrants and Her Royal Highness, the queen of this 3-month-old black garden ant colony. Can you imagine that less than a month ago, our colony consisted only of the queen and her brood pile, but today we foster a growing army, getting bigger and stronger every day. But as more ants join the multiplying army, the colony has to develop new rules and laws to ensure that they stay organized and, if needed, also deadly. These new rules that all members of the colony have to follow will truly blow your mind. If there's something that ant keeping has taught me, is that closer that you look, the more amazed you become by the complex society of ants. There's always more to discover and learn. Before us lays a setup in which our black garden ant colony is slowly taking shape. You guys will be amazed by the new rules they have begun to establish. But first, here is the colony's royal queen. She's been quite busy. Have a look. That's a mountain of eggs right there. Here's the queen's new clutch of eggs. Congratulations, queen. You're doing great. Now with the queen constantly laying eggs and all these new babies popping up, the workers have been extremely busy at helping raise these babies. Which brings me to the rule number 1. Organize babies according to age and stitch them together. As different stages of ant babies need different care, the workers have begun to sort the babies. All eggs are stuck together here, while larvae and pupa are stored in different places. This colony has no pupa at the moment though. And look how well packaged together these eggs are. There's a couple of reasons for this. First of all, sticking eggs together helps to maintain humidity. Eggs need a lot of moisture to develop properly. Also, they're much easier to transport as they stick together in case of an emergency, like an attack from another colony or you pointing magnifying glass at their nest. The larvae are kept in other places because they need to be fed regularly. They also shed multiple times during their development, and workers have to eat their skin to prevent fungus growth. Eggs and larvae also have to be licked clean to prevent fungus and bacteria growth, as ant saliva contains a natural antibiotic, so to speak. So this brood development has been a result of all the food I have been providing this colony. In their outworld, you can see a fly and a piece of sausage, but these are actually leftovers. The real colony meal is actually behind the closed doors. You see, the colony actually barricaded themselves inside the test tube for now. You'd think that they'd be going outside to eat the food I place in their outworld, but that's actually not a great idea. You see, this leads me to rule number 2. Never, ever try to consume something outside if you could bring it back home. You see, in nature, dead insects just lying around can attract bigger colonies, or even birds and other animals. They can steal the food. Other colonies can trace them back to their nest. So it's crucial that stuff that can be carried home, like this fly, is brought back immediately. They even chop this fly to pieces to make it easier to transport it. Look at that, they chopped away those flies' wings. I also placed some honey in their test tube and I kind of spilled it a little, which is quite dangerous because ants can get stuck in the honey and drown. But tiny tyrants are too smart for this. They use their garbage to make the honey less sticky so they could continue eating without drowning. Yeah, that was my bad. But this also shows how clean and organized they can be, because having a sweet liquid inside their nest that can grow bacteria and fungus is no go. That's also why their cotton ball appears dirty. It was a little too moist, so they blocked it with just random stuff. But having a growing army of ants produces more garbage than just that. So where have they been pooping all this time? Well, the answer lies on the very other side of their lands, all the way in the corner in their outworld. You see, having garbage and poo in their nest for no reason is no-go. It's quite the opposite, actually. They don't want that anywhere near the colony, so they pick the place on the very opposite side of their home. All this was evolutionarily adapted to prevent infections and diseases inside the colony. Isn't that awesome? But also, as I mentioned before, they block themselves inside their test tube at the moment. So where's all the poo going? Well, there's really only one logical explanation. You see, logically, Queen isn't allowed to leave the nest, so she naturally needs to defecate inside a test tube. Usually scouts then carry her royal droppings outside. So I suspect that the colony has a collective pooping area in the test tube, and every couple of days or so, a few scouts leave the test tube and throw them in their junkyard, and then they again barricade themselves in. Isn't that amazing? As the colony gets bigger and bigger, and their society becomes even more complex, they'll start to show even more complex behaviors that are crucial for the well-being of the colony, but one step at a time. Soon I'll attach another test tube, or maybe even a new nest, and that's where they'll need to level up their rules yet again, to ensure the well-being of the colony. Aren't tiny tyrants amazing? They are still quite shy, but their behavior has been getting more and more complex. Now when they're getting so much protein, their numbers really started to explode. So from this point on, their growth will be pretty much exponential. See you next time.